Okay, in this lesson, we're going to unravel the mysteries of relative pitch. Now, you may have heard of people who have perfect pitch, and that's just the ability to hear any note and know immediately the name of that note. Just like most of us can look at a color and know what that color is, some people have the same ability for pitch. Now, most of us don't have that, but we can all develop what's called relative pitch. If we know one note, in this case I just played a C, and then I hear any other note, I can hear the relative distance between the note that I know and the unknown second note, and I can tell that I just played the note B. And if I look at it, sure enough, it's a B. And I can say, well, I know the names of my intervals, so I just heard myself play a major seventh interval. So I'm going to show you a drill that'll help you learn this skill, all right? So first, we're going to name each interval and give it a description. Okay, so our major second. What do you think? Is that dissonant or consonant, and is it close or far away? Those are the two things you're listening for, the amount of dissonance and the distance between the two notes. So the distance is pretty close, and there's a little bit of dissonance to it, right? Let's move up to the next one, C and E natural, the major third. There's a little bit of distance between it, and it has a very pleasing, melodically rich quality to it, right? Oh, some people even say it sounds happy. Perfect fourth, a very stable consonant sound. We're getting a little bit of more distance between the two pitches. And then the perfect fifth, very easy going. Those two pitches do not disturb each other at all. All right? And we're about halfway up the octave. Going to a major six. We can really hear the distinct two different notes there. Again, a pleasing sound, getting some distance. Now the major seventh, very dissonant and very far away. And then the octave, perfect octave. Very stable, very pleasing, very easygoing. So we really only have two dissonant intervals from this bunch. And one of them is very far away, one of them is very close. And then the intervals in the middle are very stable sounding, but easygoing. And then we have two intervals with a lot of color to them, the thirds and the sixes. So that's it for the notes of the major scale. So give yourself the note C, use a pencil with an eraser, and without looking at the keyboard, strike a second note. Now, can we hear C in our mind still? C, maybe hit it again if you need it. Now hit the second note, and just ask yourself, okay, is it close or far away? Well, I'm going to say it seems to have some distance to it. Now, is it very, very stable? Has it got a little bit of color to it? Or is it very dissonant? Qualify it and think, well, it's got some nice color to it, and the notes don't just melt into each other either. You can really hear two separate notes. So given all the descriptions I used earlier, I'm going to say that's the major six. Now let's take a look and see if we got it right. Sure enough, I was right. Now, the trick is to do this within just a couple of seconds. You're trying to develop an intuitive sense, something you just pick up right away. I'd rather you guessed immediately and got it wrong than take 10 seconds and get it right. Okay, so let's do a whole bunch of them really fast now. Let's just see how it goes. What do you think? It's kind of pleasing, kind of easy going, not too close. I'm going to say perfect fourth. Take a look, move on to the next one. If you get it wrong, play the one you thought it was. So let's say I thought it was a fifth. And here's the fourth. So play the fifth a couple of times. And go back and forth between what you thought it was and what it really was. And try to hear the difference. Let's do some more. Real dissonant and from far away. So major seventh. If you flam a note or clam a note like that, just move on to another one. Very rich and colorful. Not too far away, major third. Colorful, but a little further up, so major six. Very easy going, halfway up the octave, perfect fifth. Okay, so that's all the white notes, or in this case, the notes of the major scale. So let's now incorporate our black notes. This will be a little bit more of an advanced skill. And by the way, I'm assuming you know the names of the intervals. If you don't, I've got another video for that. Take a look at it. But let's go ahead and name the types of sounds we're hearing with these intervals. C and the minor second. One of the most dissonant intervals we can have, that half step. Okay. C to E flat, the minor third. a darker quality, another rich sounding interval, but a darker quality than the major third. Okay? Now moving to the diminished fifth or augmented fourth, another fairly dissonant sound. Sounds like a car horn or a train horn. Okay, the minor sixth or augmented fifth. Again, we can really hear two separate notes, a little bit of a darker quality, especially when heard next to a major six. There's some dissonance to it. And then the minor seventh, again, there's some dissonance there. It's getting close to an octave. It likes to sort of pull up to an octave. So now when you play the pencil game, make sure your hand is forward enough that you'll pick up the occasional black note or altered interval. Okay, so here's our note C, and now I'll bring it down on an interval without looking. Perfect fifth, a nice easygoing stable interval about halfway up. Ooh, a darker sounding interval, very colorful, minor third. Oh, another kind of a darker interval, but far away. I'm going to say it's a minor seventh. But if I had said something else, maybe I said it was a major six, well then let's go right to the major six and play those back and forth and hear the difference. A couple more. Perfect fifth. Minor third. What do you think? Is it a black one or a white one? I'm going to say it's a major six. What did you think it was? Ah, pretty close by. A little bit of dissonance. Major second. Oh boy, right on top of each other, right? Very dissonant, minor second. So there it is, a really terrific relative pitch exercise that you can do to develop your ear so that the next time you're walking down the street and you hear a car horn, you'll be able to say, oh, that's a diminished fifth. The next time you hear two people singing in harmony in your choir practice, you'll say, oh, they're singing a major third. You'll be able to hear those intervals and have a much more developed appreciation for the music around you. I hope you have a great time working on relative pitch and get to rockin'.